Many brands will spend mid-six figures, sometimes up to close to $1 million on an amazing Shopify site. Now, this may sound crazy, but do you actually have to do the same thing? And what are your options as a brand? We're gonna hit all that, and I'm gonna show you exactly how I'm building the site that I just dropped for my brand with the exact Shopify theme. Let's dive in. First, let's take a look at a site that justifies the cost. This is Pink Friday Nails. It's Nicki Minaj's site. So you're leading with great art-directed full-screen video. And then look at what we have here. The quality of the imagery, the integration of social media friendly photography that works for this, the ability to pick your colors and have it change on the same page. You can add to a cart like this and you see items in cart and you're seeing big, large upsell right within there on checkout. Same thing on mobile. Nice, big, interactive image galleries. And then this, one of my favorite items, where you're actually moving in between stories. Drag and drop it. And you're basically seeing the video experience you would see in short form, like on Instagram. And you can see even at the top of what we see here with that timeline, they're actually showing the length of the post like a story, but instead it's a little shoppable video where I can then go interact with an exact thing I see in a video and go to a product detail page. It gives me significantly more information and the opportunity to check out. They're mimicking the experiences that we have on social media and the content that's integrated in social media. And content is a really big part of what sells products now into a Shopify experience. And so looking at something like this, whether you sell nails or clothes or whatever it is, these are the kind of experiences where you want to have an amazing upsell experience. You want to show your products in a super particular light. You want to have the integration of art direction and brand. That's the experiences that justify a certain amount of cost. I've been working on websites and e-commerce websites in particular for, almost 15 years now. I started as a designer. I was a web designer for hire for a long, long time. And now I'm actually the creative in residence at the firm that made that Pink Friday site I just showed, as well as the Road site, Hexclad, a bunch of others I'll pop up inside this video or you can check out called Van Group. In addition, I've made a significant amount of my own projects on Shopify. I continue to do that now, work with major brands that are on Shopify regularly. And so I'm just immersed in what does it take to have a successful, interesting e-com experience. With that, I've been working on my site for the Valuables brand. This is like a trial site, which I'm using to evaluate what I'm doing with customers, to test a few products, make sure the warehouse works, make sure checkout works. And this is what we created here. So a couple cool little features, little rollovers for each products. The scrolling nature there. You can see the same kind of ability you had on the Nicki Minaj site where I can go show like a lifestyle image on rollover. See this little archive here, introduction to some photography. We're doing all this ourselves to start. So this is all photography shot by myself and my wife who's pictured here because we're trying to do things on a budget. And as such, I'll show you exactly the toolkit we used and what we spent to do it because none of this required any custom code. A little row of our logos and then some kind of deep dive blogs, etc. So if you want your site to look like this, like exactly like this, and you'll see kind of what we have on our product detail pages. I don't have any upsell or anything fancy in the cart yet. That I'd add through a plugin or something custom, but we use the baseline theme for this. So baseline is a great theme that a bunch of brands that you probably know have used. And so it's $350. So basically what happens is you pay $350 and you get a back-end editor that gives you almost all these exact things without having to edit any custom code. There are a bunch of cheaper themes. We'll get to more Shopify themes later, but really you're buying your way into a base level store. And Baseline has one of the best experiences if you want like a more design forward, less simple site, which may not be for everybody. I understand that my site it's a little chaotic. It's a little bit more design centric. It's not 100% focused on just converting you. And some people may want that, but if you want a more aesthetic look, it's a good one to choose. So I'm gonna view the demo store here and you'll see they have similar options in these theme styles. And you'll begin to see the things that I chose. This is one of the different variants they have in this style. I believe, I don't know if I chose the minimal or which one I did of those four. You can see they have a couple of versions and when you load it in, it's going to give you the same fonts, the same items that you're going to be able to actually work with. For your brand, you can just load in your various items. All right, this modern is the one I chose. And you'll see I changed some of the fonts. I changed some of the amount of things that are featured, but overall you'll see a lot of these are the same and it's pretty much off the shelf. And so to me, to be able to do this and then come up with my own ideas inside of it and have that done, I did this in about, let's say 8-10 hours. That is 100% worth $350 to me. And the only downside is that there's a lot of other people that have this site. I actually first found this theme because Aquila, the sunglass brand, had it. Maybe this is probably like 2 years ago, and I was using a plugin. I don't think it works anymore. It was actually show you what the Shopify theme is. I think it's called Koala Inspector. But if you want to pay $30 or $50 and get one of these styles to have that more look, like, you should go ahead and do it. And I have a future plan for what I'm gonna do with my site that involves a slightly different approach to this. But for now, that got me across the finish line to where I want to go. So what are some examples of good sites you should aspire to in e-commerce? So Ridge has a great one. This is a product that I am like not a personal fan of. I understand it's not for me as a consumer, but they do super well. They have a really interesting approach to many things they do. They care deeply about e-commerce, super successful company. And you'll notice they've put a lot of time into presenting themselves in a tech-forward manner to their particular customer. And it's got this like halfway between Yeti and and kind of like more recognizable technology brands, almost like Uncrate feel to it that is perfectly appealing to their kind of male demographic. They're a great one to look at if you have a lot of products and you want to appeal to this more kind of like mainstream guy demographic. They're a great one to look at because I feel like their website does a really great job at establishing credibility. Another one I want to talk about is Represent, because this is one that I actually think would be very simple for people to use and do inside Shopify. And I like what they've done with their order here, where really they go big graphic call out into row of items, big graphic and call out, row of items, repeat. And this gives you basically a storytelling format that kind of I feel like makes people want to scroll. And you get your simple rollover here, and you actually go onto the product detail pages. Nice, clean, branded. Everything changes when they move it. This is obviously a lot of custom involved here. This is another thing where like it may look simple. This is definitely a 6-figure website. But if you did want to go take some of the default builders inside Shopify and replicate something, the ability to do this base navigation they have on the homepage where you say big hero section products, big hero section products is something you can do inside most paid themes. That gives you like a nice aspect that will be immediately have that feel of being more of a brand, less just a store showing you things. A brand I love, and I don't know if this is Shopify or not, but I think it's really worth showing, is the Gia brand, because they're super focused on content, right? So for a CPG brand where you may be buying some stuff online, but a lot of it you're buying inside store, they're selling these bundles here to help get their average order value up because shipping and stuff like that is very expensive on beverage. Nice, these full screen, super well art directed images with these rollovers. But what I really like here is what they're doing with editorial. If you watch my last video on the brand creative direction trends, I talk a decent amount about editorial and how you use kind of content as part of the consumer experience. And this is a great one because these are all recipes. And first, let's like take a moment to appreciate the art direction of these drinks and the photos that they took of them, because it's completely excellent. It's both on theme within itself to be a uniquely Gia experience, and then each one of them individually looks like absolutely delectable. And what they're doing here is they're presenting a number of recipes that you can use with Gia. And so non-alcoholic beverage has very particular taste. And the fact that you can go in and very quickly come up with something that you would want to use if you want to make a cocktail at your party, or you want to do something like fun at home, and you can just kind of go and browse through that, gives a utility to their site that keeps people coming back. Because if you are a non-alcoholic beverage partaking person, you have a wide selection. I got like 50 drinks here I can go try on any given night, and at the same time enjoy like a beautiful visual experience. It's not like I'm dealing with, everyone's done this on Google where you'll like literally be like margarita recipe. I'm just gonna click the first link that comes up. I didn't prep this at all, and it's just gonna give you like a bunch of these ads coming down in between. I have to keep going before I even get to like how to make it. Like you're getting these just like, it's not a great user experience. It's just a bunch of things trying to sell you via AdSense. And they're saying, hey, we can give you a more simple consumer experience with content with what we present here. It's not even video content, right? This is literally just a photo and a recipe. Now we're going to talk a bit about Gen Z websites. And so White Fox is a great example, super popular amongst Gen Z females. And they have a busy website. And I think that's for a number of reasons. I'll get into one in a minute. But one thing that I think is interesting to show here is the sheer amount of use of editorial photo. Like these are all their product photos. We're not talking any white background, no just product. It is all people actually like wearing and utilizing the products themselves. So you can see it here. This is all lifestyle photography, and a lot of it candid. Like this photo right here, they're participating in their day-to-day. The fake selfie photo, quite the trend that we saw a few months ago, a lot of folks doing. But they're presenting a much more chaotic view. Tons of links and things in view, lots of things happening in the nav, lots of things packed on screen. And that's a trend I think that we've noticed amongst brands that are appealing to a younger demographic. And one of the reasons I think why is because of the ubiquity of things like Temu. So like this is the web experience where people are shopping for cheap things. We're spending a lot of time on Temu, on Shein, on Amazon, on these much more complex sites. And so if you are trying to, follow the concept that you should be designing what people are used to spending time interacting with online, which is roughly known as Jacob's Law, then if that's the experience that your customer is used to, then that's an experience that you should be designing around giving them. And for more millennial focused brands, definitely represent 1000% Ridge, a few others, they are focused on presenting that more clean, larger experience. You know what you're looking at, you know what you're interacting with, but a busier experience may be better for your demographic, especially if they're Gen Z. Those are pretty sweeping generalizations, but it's worth thinking about, worth looking at, especially when you do things like customer profile creation. What are the websites that our customers look at? And can I ask them that via survey? Can we check it out and deep dive into some of their TikTok? The reason to Google your customer. Understanding what they partake in now is going to help you shape where your brand should take them online. Another site I'm a big fan of is this Lotus website. So streetwear brand, super particular look and feel. Love when, this is like an NFT gated or whatever. Don't want to get into that rabbit hole, but like just the blurred out effect on that is great. Super branded in every aspect of it. We're actually basing some of what we're going to do with the valuable site a bit around this. But what I particularly like is the lore. So you see these little drop downs here. They have like characters in their own little Warren Lotus world. And I can go click on this and I'm going to see like a bio of this crazy cartoon character. Same thing here. They have themes that are under that. There's no products available to them for now. This whole drop is based underneath this character. And they all have their kind of backstory. And this is the kind of thing that this lore, these extra items, this like all this that goes into creating something like this is what can give a brand who has that cult following, who gives people the ability to brace like a bigger story, is what gives them like an interesting, deeper element to the site that makes people feel an affinity towards the brand. So if you do have lore like that, or you have interesting experiences you can integrate. Like at one point in the valuable site, we were looking at coding like a browser-based like old school racing game, right? And it's like, how do you come up with those ideas where you might be able to get people to participate or have just that one more level of fandom come from it? Then when it comes to websites that really have a more luxury experience, this is the Rhodes Skin site. This is another one by Van Group, and everything about this website to me for like screams luxury, right? From the choice of colors that we have here to all the little elements like the rounded shapes to the presentation of the products. Again, we're still incorporating like the actual photography. Obviously, you have like with the celebrity involved, little things like the swipe icon here. All this justifies the price point of the products and the kind of exceptional nature of the brand, the popularity of the brand. The photography, the typography, every choice here is intentional and represents a brand essence, like in a very particular way. And I think that if you're going to look at how do I position myself to a wide demographic, like multiple generations of people, and I want to be appealing to them and approachable to them, but then also still have that like sense of brand. This is like a bit of a masterclass inside how you would put something like that together. And I'll contrast this with the Remova site, where this is a very straightforward site that you could make in a default Shopify theme in, this would be an 8 to 10 hour site. You're not looking at things super complicated. It does not necessarily represent the brand in the way that I think the brand should be represented online. They are relying on their brand equity to do that. And they have a lot of kind of content underneath this and a lot of like things that you can explore inside the site. But when you come into this, they're presenting a very basic Shopify experience. But with that in mind, that's because I'm sure they're spending the time looking at what actually converts for us. And if they are focused very much on D2C sales. They're a popular D2C brand, even at their price point. And I'm sure what they found is that the very simple website that is extremely easy to navigate and understand, that does not have a bunch of complexity, is what sells them the most products, and tested their way into that. And so it's worth looking too, when you're at this scale, the amount of traffic I'm sure that their website gets, how much of this matters, right? How much is that extra small percentage of conversion rate worth that kind of more premium brand experience, or are you completely focused on your sales experience, and where do those worlds match? So let's drop into unique Shopify themes. So this distinctive theme, which I believe is by Fuel Themes, is another one that I think helps brands stand out if you want to have an interesting website. Gives you video backgrounds out of the box. The typography that's coming with out of the box is also interesting. The ability to have video on e-com images, which I think is excellent as an option, is coming default out of the box. And I think this is a great option for a theme with a couple interesting different like looks that they have here. I greatly prefer the first one they have, but this is pretty solid if you want something more straightforward as well. Again, love the integration of like the shoppable video. The idea you can shop the look right from clicking the video. That coming out of the box in a Shopify theme is awesome. Same here, it's kind of video, carousel, scroll. I like to bring up these themes because this is the easiest way for someone to get a good looking site. People often are like, how do I get a good looking Shopify site? And I've started with this theme, or I use this or that. Go hunt down one of these. It's worth a couple $100 to do it. And it's going to get you to a certain ratio. And I'll talk a little bit about your other options and kind of what things look like when you incorporate that. Last theme I'm going to show here is this shapes theme, which is by the same people that do the baseline theme I showed. But this is one if you do have like if you really want a more interesting brand experience out of the box, like this would have to be a certain type of brand. But if you really want to be bright and stand out, they have a pretty wild out of the box theme set that, again, with the topography and stuff, where if you just want to immediately have a vibe, you can basically pay the money and get there with something like this. And then they have a couple different like applications of that. I don't particularly like this one, but then like a more muted version as well that have an interesting approach for you. So one thing I work a lot on is testing. So basically getting a theme to test a single product, where we'll put a product up on Shopify, run a bunch of TikTok, organic, or run a bunch of meta ads, and then just see if it has any level of response, even just sign up for email or pre-order, or if we actually have a couple do this. And Origin is a great validation site. I believe this is one of the free Shopify ones. I don't even think you have to pay for it, or it's like super cheap, but this is a great like one-page shoppable, like literally we will cut the product image out, pop it on here, follow this exact, here's your options, nice little mobile layout, simple. And again, I'm 90% sure it's free to get started, and just gives you a very basic building blocks. That's a great free theme if you want to look at that to be like, let's give it a shot. So if you want to build custom and you don't want to buy a theme and you want to have some custom website, there's a couple ways to do that. So this is a project I actually worked on this landing page for this toy product. And so this here is built in a back-end editor. So Shopify has a couple different back-end editors. There's Shogun, Pagefly, but this is in Gem Pages, which I like a lot. And the downside of these editors is they're clunky. The code, you're not going to have the fastest websites. There's going to be a lot you kind of have to work through from a performance perspective. But you go peep in the back end of something like this, it's literally rows, pop in your images. It's just like any WordPress editor, Squarespace editor, etc. that you've seen, whereas the normal Shopify backend is not like that at all. And you can do things like this row that was a persistent scroll add to cart that we saw over here, where like as I'm going down, now I have that persistent add to cart across an entire page. Like things like that are built in, and it's one of those like for a monthly cost, you're getting the ability to turn any page, including product detail pages, into like these comprehensive experiences that you can literally drag and drop. And if you don't want to go, if you want to go like fully custom, which is what I'm going to end up doing for Valuable, what a lot of the sites I work on are that don't get like a full treatment from like a more expensive firm. You want to go get your designs done. I'll go mock up either myself or with a designer. Like this is one I worked in with another designer inside Figma that they put together from some inspiration that myself and the brand owner had. And we basically put together these pages here in design, and then we worked with a developer to turn them into Shopify, where we can literally pass the Figma designs to the developer with some notes and references from sites that we're looking at of how we want the scroll or this or that to be. And we use a company called Prime Apps. We found on Upwork. I've used for like 6 or 8 years. They're great. It's like $35 an hour type thing where they will code the entire piece of it. And if you, with that process, especially if you're working overseas like we are, like sometimes that can take some time. But if you're willing to go through a couple cycles, go with those notes back and forth, you can turn custom designs into your exact website with any functionality and be doing that in the like low thousands of dollars. It just requires a certain amount of dedication, the ability to have designers either on your team or dedicated to it, and to be able to just work through the user experience and progress, which not everyone's cut out for. But if you are like that type of person and you want to do it in your best bang for buck, like that's definitely the option. And so one thing I'm doing with a similar team right now is this bite site is one I love for more detailed product detail pages. Like if you have a lot you want to tell people, like this has a whole usage section. It has a whole ingredients, like deep dive ingredients. They're showing off all of these items around different certifications they have. Like all the reviews are custom. Like this is a really nice setup for a more expansive product detail page. And we literally sent this to the developer and we're just like, clone this. Here's our ingredients list. Here's our text. Here's whatever it is. Here's the fonts we want to use. And they made this exact site in about 2 days. And we were using this for a product detail page to test a new product. And so it's nice to be able to like have that back and forth once you do get in the flow to develop almost anything you want. But overall, at the end of the day, most brands are going to be able to start with one of the Shopify themes and build out from there. That's going to be your kind of best bang for buck, have something functional option. Then from there, you can do things like those back-end editors, but you can be doing some of that at the expense of like your site speed and your site performance when you use like a Gem Pages or a Shogun or a Pagefly, where you can get whatever you want done, but it's not going to be the optimized thing that if you're getting a ton of traffic is going to get you where you want to go. And then your choices are really like lean into custom dev and go into that, which I wouldn't touch if you don't have a design or development background yourself, or then start getting into firms that can provide you luxury experiences. And with that, like, it really just depends on what you're looking for. There are some teams that are focused on cost. There are some that are focused on, CRO, like optimization for speed. And there's some that are focused on, brand and design and incorporation of all those pieces together. And a great example of a fully custom site that I think is really interesting is this entire studio site, where you get this mix of editorial and product, kind of everything cut out you see here. And then when you actually navigate it, they'll show you the styles it goes with right there. And you can go kind of buy specific collections and outfits. I thought they've done a great job of really just, they're cutting out PNGs of each of these various items. And I thought they've done a good job of making a unique, interesting look. And this is their upcoming drop with the launch and how it previews. That's a good example of just a unique site that can get executed. And this will be fully custom code and the kind of thing that you would go to a Van Group for, or another kind of boutique website agent. So anyway, that was my deep dive into how you can approach web design, what the right themes are to buy, how to think about it for your brand, a bit of how I'm thinking about it, and hope that you use a bunch of this inside creating your own sites. So thank you for watching.